Welcome back. Here's another story, the story that I had mentioned in the previous video. Um, Recording it the same day. Thought I would get it recorded before I forget anything. But yeah. So this story, um, it was in my first apartment. I was living with Mark, like I mentioned in the last video, and we stayed in one bedroom, the master bedroom, and we used the second bedroom. It was a two-bedroom, two-bath apartment, and the second bedroom we used as the gym, basically. That was the hangout apartment we had. Everybody would come over and just hang out, and we were actually lucky because uh, that whole building was everybody our age or near to it. So we were all from basically between 19 and like 26 years old. And the owner lived there. The owner was 24. 24. His parents had gifted him the building. He was originally from Hawaii, and he was a close friend of ours. That's how we ended up finding the place, because he's like, I have a vacancy coming, come on in. Um, so um, I think, or we think, that this whole situation started from one of our escapades at a cemetery playing hide and seek. Um, but it started off in the apartment with a couple of lights just either turning on when we weren't in the room or going off when we were in them. Thought it was a electrical wire issue. So we're like, all right, no big deal. But things started getting worse. Things would disappear, or things would start flying off the shelves. But it would only happen when Mark was in the room, mainly. And one day he's in the bathroom in the hallway, and the lights went off. I was on the couch. I was reading a book. And he comes out and he asks me if I turn on the lights, and I said no. Like, I didn't. I'm like, I thought you had come out and gone into the bedroom and turned on the lights. He's like, no. So he's he freaks out really easily. So he starts freaking out. So there's nothing else to do. So I'm like, let's just go to Denny's. There was a Denny's about maybe a mile away. So we ended up going there, and we spent so much time at that Denny's at night that we got to know everybody that worked there, all the managers. And it was to the point that when we would walk in, they would just say hello. They wouldn't even seat us. We would seat ourselves. We would get our own silverware and everything, and we would just sit there. And that was like everybody, because when Mark would freak out, he would freak out everybody else. So that happened for about, I want to say, probably a couple of months. Nothing else happened after that. He went and got some holy water and just sprayed, and because he was hardcore Catholic. I don't know if he's still now. And sprayed it around the room. So after that happened, it was our other friend who was staying in the room with us. We had a couch, those giant foam couches that you pull out and become a bed. We had one of those, and she was sleeping there. And this is the part where I don't remember. This is from what I've been told a lot of times and what has been clarified even more today. They say that Mark was pulled, it was grabbed by the ankles and pulled and tossed across the room. He ended up falling on top of our friend. Now, again, I don't remember this. They said that I got up and I pretty much yelled, That's enough. You're not going to hurt anybody. If you hurt anybody, you're going to deal with me. And you have no idea what you're dealing with. And you have no idea where I come from. But that's enough. And they said that I picked up Mark, took him to the bathroom, and I ended up bandaging his, like, this whole area, put medicine, gauze, and everything, and I told him everything's fine now. They're not gonna bother you ever again. They know better now. And I went back to bed. I have no recollection of any of that. I remember waking up the next morning and seeing this big old gauze thing, and then asking him what happened. And they're like, you were there. You fixed this. And I'm like, what? What the hell did I do? He's like, you put all the medicine and patched me up. I'm like, what the hell happened? So that's when they told me. And I'm like, let me see. Basically, this, like I said, from here to probably out here, there was a huge bite mark. Huge bite mark, and the skin was missing. And that freaked them out even more. But never again did we have an issue. But he was still freaked out because of what had happened, and especially because I had no memory of any of that happening. So he called his mom, whom I adore his mom. His mom, she called me for a while, her older son, her other son, because I was Mark's kuya, big brother. And she ended up calling her, and she rushed down from San Francisco, and she brought a priest, and the priest went through this whole exorcism thing. He told us to leave and went through this whole exorcism thing. And he's like, well, everything's fine now, nothing's ever gonna happen. And yeah, like I said, nothing after that night, nothing else ever happened. So that was one of the stories that really made me think. And I honestly think that whatever it was had attached itself to Mark from one of our escapades. And I have no idea what the hell that boy did, but it definitely wanted to hurt him. But again, I have no idea, like, no recollection again of what happened that night at all. I don't remember getting up. I don't remember saying what they said I said. I don't remember patching him up at all. And it wasn't until the next day that they told me what had happened, and no idea at all. But stuff like that has happened to me a lot throughout my whole existence, basically. I spoke to Dee about some of the stuff. Like when I was little, I used to play with the angels in the trees, which that is another story altogether that in all honesty, I had totally forgotten about it. It wasn't until that same friend with the boyfriend that was driving the truck, we were talking one night, and she started talking about how she was a bit freaked out because her twin siblings, had come in running into the house once, laughing hysterically, and she asked them what's so funny, and they mentioned the fact that they had been playing that the angels in the trees were making them laugh. And she says that she stopped because she remembered that she used to play with the angels in the trees. And as soon as she's saying this, I'm freaking out. So she's asking me what's wrong, and I'm like, oh my God, I used to play with the angels in the trees as well. Now, my great grandmother, my great grandmother is the one that when she found out that I was playing with the angels in the trees, she sat me down and basically she told me that it's okay to play with the angels in the trees during the day, but never ever play with them at night. They're not what they seem, and they're going to be calling me and become very persistent more at night than during the day, and to ignore them. To ignore them because at night they become something completely different. I'm like, okay. And that, I remember that happening. I remember that happening because when I was little, we lived in a house where um, you would walk into the living room. My grandfather had he built a ginormous cabinet for the dishes and an extremely long as table that there's no way that whoever bought that house, I'm sure if they did not destroy the table, there's no way they can get that out because it was ginormous. Because his whole idea was that, and it was like that for a while, where the whole family would come and just eat every Sunday together, spend the whole day together, and have basically breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. And you would go out the back door, and to the left there was that's where the big kitchen was. You walk on past the big kitchen. In front, that's where the old smaller kitchen used to be, and the washing area, and then the restrooms were to the left of that. And the hallway, that's where the toilets were separated, and then the showers were separated in their own individual rooms. And it was, I believe it was 4 and 4 of each. But in front of the big kitchen, it was like a big patio with a giant lemon tree. It's another plant that looks like a what are these called? Yucca tree, but it's got thicker leaves. I'm sure it's a cousin. It's got thicker leaves and it gives off this big white voluminous flowers that you can cut and cook them and eat them. Usually they're cooked with eggs. And I had planted banana trees in that area also, but that's pretty much. And then the steps from the patio, there were steps going up to the terrace. And that's where every night with my grandparents, we would sit in the rocking chair and my grandmother would just tell me about the stars and the different stories that each constellation had. And that's where I would freak them out over. Oh, that's another story though. I would freak them out over so-called memories of mine. But yeah, that's where my grandma, and when I would go to the restroom, because I was little, I was very little. But I remember this vividly, that I would almost cry when I would ask to go to the restroom. I wanted somebody to go with me. And they would be like, just go. And I'm like, no, because they don't leave me alone. So they thought it was just my imagination. But my great grandmother's like, keep on ignoring them. They're not good for you. So my grandmama was very gifted in all aspects. She knew many things about healing with plants and dealing with the supernatural. And a lot of my family is very much like that. My great grandfather apparently dealt with a lot of that stuff himself. And one of my grandma's sisters got in an argument and won with a bunch of, I guess you could call them demons. I don't know. But she ended up beating beating them at their own game, I guess. So yeah, there's a lot of stories that run in my family, experiences that we have all dealt with. So, uh, but I just wish, I honestly do wish I could remember everything that happened that night in that apartment, because I don't recall anything. So yeah, that's my story, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll talk again some other time. I might continue with this narrative of my experiences with this, but there's so many different stories. So yeah, talk to you later. Bye.